The order by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, countering the recent directive of the Police Service Commission to officers who have attained 35 years in service or 60 years of age to proceed on retirement, has drawn the anger of senior retired officers who kicked against the order. The Public Relations Officer of the Police Service Commission says that the IGP's comment for further directive does not mean that he rejected the Commission's decision. Well, for some backstory, the PSC recently directed officers who have attained 35 years in service or 60 years of age to immediately proceed on retirement from the force. But according to a wireless message from the Office of the Force Secretary dated February 5th, 2025, ordered all officers affected by the Commission's directive to stay action pending further directive, warning affected officers to comply strictly. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered an investigation into the unauthorized linking of national identity numbers to SIM cards by telecommunications providers. The president has set up an inter-ministerial committee to look into growing concerns over data privacy violations, where some subscribers have discovered their lines linked to unknown NIN records or multiple unregistered lines. The committee includes National Security Advisor Nuhu Rubadu, Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, and the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Dr. Natawe Yewata. These move follows rising calls for stronger data protection and transparency, with the House of Representatives also launching its own inquiry. Consumer rights groups have warned that unauthorized data linkage could expose individuals to risks such as identity theft and cybercrime. The Trade Union Congress has condemned the commencement of tolling operations on selected federal highway corridors across the country. The Congress, after its first quarter National Administrative Council meeting in Abuja, urged the federal government to reverse the approval given for the operations to begin until the federal highways are fixed and fit for use by citizens. The Congress, while also expressing its views on several other national issues, called for a better foreign exchange management regime, blaming it for the high cost of goods and services, escalating inflation rate, amongst others.
Our highways are death traps, unsafe, abandoned, and filled with potholes. Rather than fulfilling its responsibility to fix and maintain these roads, the government is resorting to shameless extortion. The Congress therefore demands that all roads earmarked for tolling must first be fixed properly tarred and repaired to international standards before any discussion on tolling can be entertained.
The federal government has dismissed claims that it plans to scrap the junior secondary school and senior secondary school education models in Nigeria. The Dr. Tunji Alausa, who is the Minister of Education, clarified at a press conference in Abuja on Friday that these reports were untrue. He explained that a proposal for discussion, not an immediate policy change, was presented aiming to introduce 12 years of compulsory education while keeping the current 633 structure. A key aspect of the proposal is eliminating the examination barrier between GSS and SSS for a seamless student transition. Alausa assured that a final decision will be made in October 2025 after extensive consultations. And on to the south of Nigeria, where the Sapele Polytechnic in Delta State, now abandoned, has raised concerns among educationists regarding the project's fate, prompting the host communities to appeal to the Governor Sheriff Oboriwori, to revisit the issue while emphasizing the need for its completion and reopening. News Central's correspondent Austin Azu, who visited the abandoned institution, tells us more.
This is the entrance gate into the proposed Sapele Polytechnic here at Iriabome and Degele in Sapele local government area of Delta State. This project started in 2012 and was abandoned in 2016. What are the people saying about this project?
So the project is abandoned in 2016 during Governor Okowa. So we wrote a lot of letter to the government house that the project they should come and continue with the project, because we have a lot of the project is a big project, and we feel that the project will also bring development to our community.
Some of our people, we graduated from the school, we're supposed to work here, they didn't have somewhere to work.
The Sapele Polytechnic, now abandoned, was among the 4 polytechnics established in 2010 under former Governor Emmanuel Oduaga's administration. The project work started in 2012 at the permanent site of this communal farm in Degele Iriabome communities. The abandonment of the project is not an isolated incident, as several other projects initiated by Oduaga in the state were stopped as former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa took over power in 2015. In 2021, Okowa upgraded 3 tertiary institutions in the state to universities. The host communities appealed to Governor Sheriff Oborewori to consider visiting the institution for on-the-spot assessment of the massive projects on site.
So, Excellency, I'm here, I'm begging, as one of your aide, you come and assist us, because the women, the men, as you can see, I'm with the committee, some of the leaders. Look at the whole place now, look at the environment. This land is a place where we farm, we have a lot of farm here, but we donated it to the government so that our children, the communities, we can go to school. And with school, development will come.
We are appealing to the Delta State Governor, Chief Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, to come and assist us to open the school.
The Delta State Commissioner for Higher Education, who spoke through the phone, said the Polytechnic was not part of the handover documents given to him when he assumed office. But the State Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information shed more light.
We are the only state in the entire country that has 4 universities owned by the state, 2 colleges of education owned by the state, 2 polytechnics owned by the state, not to talk of other health sciences.
The people of Delta State, particularly those in Sapele, are eagerly awaiting updates on the Polytechnic status and hoping for its revival. In Sapele for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Now, earlier during the course of the conversation, or during the course of this bulletin, we told you about the TUC and them condemning, they have condemned the commencement of tolling operations on selected federal highway corridors across the country. And they also made they also called on a number of national issues, particularly better foreign exchange management, blaming it for the high cost of goods and services, escalating inflation rates, amongst others. And now to go deeper into this discussion, we're joined by Francis Chilaka, as a public affairs analyst, and he joins us live now. Mr. Chilaka, many thanks for doing this with us. So the news is out. There's one thing for Nigeria to pay for. It's so much for us to pay for. And now we're adding tolls to it, federal highway tolls. Can we afford it?
It's not whether we can afford it. It's if Nigerians can survive it. We need to tell ourselves the truth right now. Nigerians are going through a lot. Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are dying of hunger. Poverty has taken over. It's difficult for people to survive. And, we keep talking about government saying, oh, be patient, be patient. We're trying to do things for the betterment of the people. But what we've seen so far with government is just taxing the people, not caring whether the people survive or not. So right now, this is too many for the people to take.
And one of the things you've said is funding. So I have to ask you, is the funding model for the project the main reason for the tolling? Or what, in your view, could government be really funding or towing Nigerians for?
Well, if you look at it, the government says they're tolling the roads because they want to pay back the loans. But you see, when you have a country where there's no accountability, the people themselves don't even know how much was spent on building these roads, and they don't even know how long this tolling would take. So it ridicules everything about it. I think that what government should be doing is to find a way of alleviating the current suffering the people are going through. Because by the time you toll these roads, I am telling you, the cost of living, the cost of items, the cost of vehicular movement will become even more and more expensive. So the government could, as a matter of fact, look at other ways of paying these loans. There's so much money being generated that is being shared. In fact, I think part of that money that is being shared should be used to settle this loan. Also, the government had told us when President Tinubu took over that subsidy is gone. And it promised Nigerians that the savings from subsidy will be applied to strategic areas. So I think that what government should do is to take from the savings from the subsidy and apply in this area.
Now, look, the unions push back every single time, whether it's the TUC or the NLC. One thing is for certain, they always push back. And now this is another pushback. The question is, can this yield any result?
For me as a person and for a lot of Nigerians, we've lost faith and trust in the unions. We don't believe them. We just believe that it's all about themselves, about their pockets, about what they can grab at a particular time from government. So Nigerians are not bothered. Nigerians are not interested whether TUC or NLC go on strike or protest. Nigerians are not interested because at the end of the day, if they give an ultimatum, say, in 2 weeks, on the eve of the end of the ultimatum, they will end up cancelling whatever it is and tell you they are going into negotiations or the government has reached out to them. So Nigerians have lost interest and, they're on their own, so to say.
Well, it begs to ask a question about who then would voice the displeasure and the dissent from Nigerians. I must say thank you, Francis Chilaka, for joining us. Mr. Francis Chilaka, the renowned public affairs analyst who gives us a bit of insight on the pushback from the TUC. The Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has called for a greater transparency and accountability following the recent increase in Nigeria's budget of restoration to 54.2 trillion naira. While acknowledging reported revenue growth, Obi raised concerns over the lack of a clear expenditure breakdown to justify the increase. He stressed that Nigerians must be informed about how public funds are allocated and spent, particularly in critical sectors such as education, healthcare, security, and poverty alleviation. Obi also urged the government to ensure that the budget delivers tangible benefits to national development and the well-being of citizens rather than becoming a vehicle for wasteful spending. The Nigerian Senate has resolved to probe the recent fire outbreak and oil spill in Buguma community of Rivers State in the south region of the country. This resolution was reached at Thursday's plenary. News Central's National Assembly correspondent Agir Ibrahim was there and now reports.
Presenting her motion, the Rivers lawmaker expressed displeasure over the slow response of the oil companies in the region, saying that their inaction has worsened the plight of affected residents.
Recognizes the severe consequences of this incident, including contamination of rivers, farmlands, and aquatic life, which constitute the primary source of livelihood for the residents of Buguma. The pollutants released pose significant health risks, including respiratory and waterborne diseases, and long-term effects such as cancer and organ damage.
Other lawmakers contributed to the debate, recommending additional measures for a more comprehensive response to the crisis.
The federal government should declare a national emergency program for the rebuilding, rehabilitation, and recalibration of the national oil, onshore oil wells, flow stations, and pipeline infrastructure in Nigeria.
Urge the Ecological Management Committee and relevant agencies to ascertain cleanup costs, charges, and penalties of each and every oil spill or fire hazard and charge operators accordingly.
At the end of the deliberations, the Deputy President of the Senate, Barrow Jibrin, who presided over the day's session, referred the matter to the Senate Committees on Environment and Petroleum Upstream for further legislative action.
The major factor is the fact that we have an infrastructure that has become decayed. And the second factor is the fact that there are some level of sabotage in that. The Senate has the latitude to deal with the matter. So let me put the question. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. Oh, the ayes have it.
Meanwhile, another motion was raised during plenary calling for an urgent investigation into allegations by Niger Republic's military ruler, Abdurrahman Tiani, that Nigeria is colluding with France to destabilize his government. Umar Shehu, representing Bauchi South in Nigeria's northeastern region, says that diplomatic relations between the two nations has now become strained following the coup d'etat that ousted Niger's civilian government.
Brigadier General Chani also alleged plans to establish a base for Lakurawa in a forest near Gaba, Sokoto State, with operational reach extending to Sokoto, Zamfara, and Kebbi State. Additionally, he claims that foreign military bases in Nigeria are being used to target Niger's oil pipelines and create security threat.
Let us just agree that his committee be made to go and carry out whatever investigation that needs to be carried out. And the committee will present a report to us in an executive session to be discussed further by the committee of the whole.
The matter was subsequently referred to the Senate Committees on Intelligence, National Security and Foreign Affairs for further actions.
The motion is now referred to the Committee on Intelligence and National Security, jointly with the Committee on Foreign Affairs, to report back within 4 weeks.
As the Senate awaits feedback from its joint committees, lawmakers resolved to debate the findings in an executive session due to the sensitivity of the issue. From the National Assembly, Sagir Ibrahim for News Central.
The wife of the Niger State Governor, and that's Fatima Bago, has called for urgent and practical action to combat sexual violence, stressing the need to protect the rights and dignity of vulnerable groups, particularly women and children. She made the appeal at the 3rd International Conference on Rape and Child Sexual Abuse themed Encroachment, Identifying and Defining Boundaries. News Central's Bettina Unweli reports.
Sexual violence remains a grim reality in Niger State. Despite growing advocacy and awareness, cases of rape and child sexual abuse continue to rise. According to conference convener Chenemi Bamai, the event seeks to develop long-term solutions to these persistent crimes.
As we address this year's theme, encroachment, we reflect on how societal and individual distortions deviate from God's order. Rape and sexual abuse are symptoms of humanity's fallen nature. It's an age-long problem that requires both spiritual and practical solutions.
It is at that time that it becomes critical in all cultures to start educating the child about the do's and don'ts. No, you don't dress this way. You cover yourself in this way. These parts of your body you do not let others touch. Only your parents, only your siblings can give you a bath and touch this part of your body.
The wife of the Niger State Governor, Fatima Bago, highlighted the ongoing struggle against gender-based violence. She criticized the gap between discussions at conferences and actual implementation of solutions. Speaking on the theme of the conference, the Niger State First Lady stressed that encroachment goes beyond physical violations, encompassing any act that invades another person's physical, emotional, or psychological space without consent.
The message, as always, is that we need to be very vigilant. We need to really watch out for each other, and then we need to know the particular places to go and report some of these cases, so that maybe if the perpetrators see that the law is really taking its full force in tackling the issue, maybe, just maybe, they will desist from such acts.
This platform aims to raise awareness, educate young people on self-protection, and deter sexual violence. The role of parents and teachers in preventing abuse cannot be overemphasized, as their influence is vital in equipping the next generation with the values, awareness, and resilience to combat this societal ill. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Bettina Nwili.
The emergence of Mojisola Miranda as the first female Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly following the impeachment of Mudashiru Obasa is a significant shift in Lagos State's political landscape. Women advocates believe her tenure not only marks a new beginning for Nigerian women in politics, but a remarkable change in Lagos' political landscape. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more in this report. Take a look.
Impeachment of Mudashiru Obasa as the Lagos State House of Assembly and his replacement by Mojisola Miranda has remained a contentious issue. The leadership tussle has been dramatic, especially with the recent news of Obasa's reinstatement as Speaker, which was later dismissed as fake news. Claims that the new Speaker's election was not done according to the Constitution and the alleged move by the Assembly and the Governor's Advisory Council to commute Obasa's impeachment to resignation.
What does he do with the House of Assembly?
However, the rancor at the House of Assembly has taken a new turn as some women group see it as a gender battle because Lagos State has produced its first Speaker of the House of Assembly and Obasa's reinstatement can disrupt the entire process.
We shall stand.
These women advocates emphasize that the emergence of Mojisola Miranda as the first female of the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly is a testament to the evolving democratic landscape of Lagos, while it also improves women inclusion in leadership position in Nigeria.
Miranda's ascension to the speakership is a beacon of hope for young girls, for women in politics, and for every citizen who believes in the power of inclusivity, competence, and dedication to public service. Beyond celebration, today is a call to action. It is a clarion call for increased female participation in governance. It is also a call to ensure that more competent, passionate, and visionary women take up leadership positions in government and society. Let us seize this moment to champion the cause of gender inclusivity and good governance at all levels.
Mojisola Miranda made history as Lagos State's first female speaker, breaking barriers and paving the way for future generations of women in leadership. Her removal would not only be a personal loss, but a major setback for women's representation in governance.
Besides being supported by many women, the incumbent Speaker has been endorsed by key political figures, including the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and the Governor's Advisory Council, GAC. Political observers, however, continue to watch to see if Obasa will accept his fate or fight on. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa on Thursday gave the State of the Nation address. He outlined his government's key policy objectives and deliverables for the year ahead. In his address, Ramaphosa noted that South Africa stands as one united nation and would not be cowed by anyone, especially having survived its darkest days of apartheid. The speech, which is an annual event, marks an important milestone in South Africa's democratic process and demonstrates the country's robust democracy, bringing certainty to its political, social, and economic landscape.
This is the world that we, as South Africa, a developing economy, must now navigate. But we are not daunted to navigate our path through this world that constantly changes. We will not be deterred. We are, as South Africans, a resilient people, and we will not be bullied. We will stand together as a united nation, and we will speak with one voice in defense of our national interests, our sovereignty, and our constitutional democracy. We overcame apartheid, a crime against humanity that denied people their human rights, that deprive them of the land and livelihoods, that sought to strip them of their dignity. And we stand for democracy and tolerance as well as compassion. We stand for equal rights for women, for persons with disability, and for members of the LGBTQIA+ community.
The Al Jazeera Conference, a local civil organization formed in response to the Rapid Support Forces control of Sudan's Al Jazeera state, says at least 8,000 people have been killed and tens of thousands injured since the RSF seized the region. The violence, which began in December 2023 when the RSF entered Ward Madani, has continued through January 2025 with widespread atrocities committed against citizens and civilians, particularly women and children. The RSF has been accused of mass killings, forced displacement, arbitrary arrests, rapes, and kidnappings. An estimated 5 million people have been forced from their homes, and around 2,500 villages have been affected. In addition, 213 cases of rape have been documented, while approximately 10,000 people have been arrested or abducted, with many still unaccounted for. The economic toll has been devastating, with initial assessments indicating losses exceeding $30 billion across industries, agriculture, and the health sector. While Sudan's army has regained some key areas, the humanitarian crisis remains severe. In the meantime, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has unveiled plans to dispatch a delegation to key global and continental stakeholders to articulate South Africa's priorities as it takes on the G20 presidency this year. Delivering his State of the Nation address, Ramaphosa underscored the need for international clarity on the country's G20 objectives, aiming to bolster global cooperation and support. His announcement comes amid fresh diplomatic tensions as U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed he would boycott the upcoming G20 foreign ministers meeting in South Africa. Rubio accused the South African government of harboring an anti-American stance, citing disagreements over Pretoria's land reform policies, which seek to redress apartheid-era inequalities.
As humanity confronts unprecedented challenges, we are determined that a reformed and representative United Nations must be at the center of global affairs, and we will continue to push for progress on the reform of the UN Security Council to be a more inclusive, more effective body that is able to ensure peace and security. And we will work to ensure that the needs of the people of the world are advanced. And the work that we do and what we stand for does need to be explained to many key players, especially to our trading partners and the many countries and leaders that we interact with on the global stage.
The Rwandan-backed M23 armed group is pushing deeper into Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, seizing key areas including the strategic mining town of Yabiwe in South Kivu. Despite a declared ceasefire, M23 has resumed hostilities, launching a fresh offensive in neighboring South Kivu. Humanitarian sources warn that Congolese forces are preparing to defend Kavimu, a vital town near the provincial capital of Bukavu. The rebels now control Goma, where they have begun installing their own administration. Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has renewed calls for peace, urging an end to the violence. However, M23 leader Colonel Nanga has promised to press on, declaring his intent to liberate all of Congo.
Sababa, my message is clear. Silence the guns, stop the escalation, respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, uphold international human rights law and international humanitarian law. There is no military solution. It's time for all the signatories of the Peace, Security and Cooperation Framework for the DRC and the region to honor their commitments. It's time for mediation. It's time to end this crisis. It's time to peace. The stakes are too high, and we need the active and constructive role of all players, namely neighboring countries, sub-regional organizations, the African Union, and the United Nations. Let us all act together for peace. Thank you.
You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Still ahead. Welcome back. President Donald Trump has imposed sanctions on the International Criminal Court, branding it an illegitimate institution targeting the United States and its ally, Israel. The executive order restrains financial transactions and imposes visa bans on individuals assisting ICC investigations into American citizens or allied nations. The move comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visits Washington. The ICC had previously issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu over alleged war crimes in Gaza, charges Israel has denied. The Netherlands, where the ICC is headquartered, has condemned Trump's actions, stressing the importance of the court's role in upholding international justice and accountability. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has expressed support for a proposal to relocate Palestinians from Gaza, calling it an original and necessary shift in the long-standing conflict. He made the remark during a press conference with U.S. President Donald Trump. This follows an order from Israel's defense minister instructing the military to draft a plan for the voluntary departure of Gaza residents to any country willing to take them. Trump's controversial proposal has triggered backlash across the Middle East and beyond. While he has ruled out deploying U.S. troops, the plan raises critical questions about Gaza's future and the willingness of other nations to accept displaced Palestinians. The move comes amid more than a year of war, leaving Gaza in ruins and thousands without homes.
נפגשתי שלשום עם הנשיא טראמפ בפגישה היסטורית שהיא תפנית אדירה לעתיד ישראל. הוא העלה בפגישה הזאת גם את הרעיון שלו לגבי עזה, לגבי היום שאחרי חמאס. ואני חושב שכדאי להקשיב טוב טוב לרעיון הזה שהוא הרעיון המקורי הראשון שעלה מזה שנים.
Police in Brussels are investigating a fourth shooting in just 1 week as gun violence linked to rival drug gangs continues to spiral. The latest attack, which occurred overnight in the Anderlecht district, left one person dead. Belgian authorities, including the Brussels Prosecutor's Office, have attributed the surge in shootings to ongoing tough wars between criminal syndicates. This latest incident follows 3 other shootings in the city this week, including a man being shot in the leg near Clemenceau metro station, and a dramatic manhunt after gunmen fired automatic rifles in the same area. Concerns over gang-related violence in the Belgian capital are mounting. Last year alone, Brussels recorded 89 shooting incidents, resulting in 9 deaths. While investigations are ongoing, no arrests have been made so far. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has warned that Tehran will respond forcibly to any hostile actions from the United States. He stressed that any attack or threat to Iran's security would be met with a direct and decisive retaliation. The supreme leader also reiterated his firm opposition to negotiations with Washington, urging his government to avoid talks with the Trump administration. His remarks come just days after President Donald Trump proposed a verified nuclear peace agreement with Iran, an offer the leader dismissed as both unwise and dishonorable. The statement further escalates tensions between the two nations, which remain locked in a long-standing dispute over Iran's nuclear program and its growing regional influence.
آمریکایی‌ها نشستن روی کاغذ دارن نقشه جهان رو تغییر میدن. البته فقط روی کاغذ. در واقعیت هیچ گونه واقعیتی ندارن. درباره ما هم نظر میدن، حرف میزنن، اظهار نظر میکنن، تهدید میکنن. ما اگر تهدیدمون بکنن تهدیدشون میکنیم، اگر این تهدید رو عملی کنن ما هم تهدید رو عملی میکنیم. امنیت ملت ما تعرض کنن ما هم به امنیت.
The U.S. Deputy Special Envoy for the Middle East, Morgan Ortagus, has declared Hezbollah's role in Lebanon new government a red line, reaffirming Washington's firm stance against the Iran-backed group's political influence. During her first official visit abroad, Ortagus met with Lebanese President in Beirut and praised ongoing efforts to dismantle Hezbollah's reign of terror. Now, she emphasized that the group must not be allowed to terrorize the Lebanese people by holding government positions. Ortagus also expressed gratitude toward Israel for weakening Hezbollah, citing the impact of a year-long conflict, including 2 months of intensified fighting.
Clear red lines from the United States that they won't be able to terrorize the Lebanese people, and that includes by being a part of the government. So the end of Hezbollah's reign of terror in Lebanon and around the world has started, and it's over.
Nigeria's female representatives at the 2025 African Cup of Club Hockey Championship, Kada Queens Hockey Club, have secured a bronze medal of the women's third-place game after defeating Mombasa Hockey Club of Kenya 1-0 in Cairo, Egypt. Kada Queens put up an impressive performance throughout the competition, but narrowly missed a spot in the final. However, they bounced back to claim third place, edging out Mombasa Hockey Club with a hard-fought victory. 5 Nigerian hockey clubs traveled to Egypt for the tournament 2 weeks ago. Kada Stars, Niger Flickers, and 3 Queen teams, Plateau Queens, Kaduna Queens, and Delta Queens. Liverpool's Premier League match against Aston Villa has been rescheduled to Wednesday, February 19th due to the Reds' progression to the Carabao Cup final. Originally set for match 15th, the Villa Park fixture was moved to avoid clashing with the final against Newcastle on March 16th. Liverpool secured their place at Wembley with a dominant 4-0 victory over Tottenham. The rescheduled match adds to a challenging February for Arne Slot's squad, with crucial fixture against Bournemouth, Everton, and Manchester City. Villa under Unai Emery as pose a tough test, making this a key encounter in Liverpool's title chase. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith Atimi. Bye for now.